hit 2,000 followers about 6 months after starting my Instagram page. And for most of that time, I did not have a job. That means I could pour all of my time and energy into making content. But the second I started studio work, everything changed. Instead of 100% dedicated to making content, I'm now 100% dedicated to studio work. Like most people in my line of work, which is VFX, I have been a contractor for most of my career. I constantly having to switch between having a job and not having a job, and constantly adjusting to different studio schedules and different commute times. In an ideal world, I told myself that in the downtime, I would hit all my other goals and work through all the personal projects I have banked up. But the reality is that I spent weeks transitioning between having a steady routine while having a job and having that routine disappear after my contract ends. If I'm lucky, I'll get picked up by another studio again. But that means that I will have to start the whole process all over. I tend to have to go through this process 3 to 5 times a year, and that is not a very efficient use of my time. If I'm losing 2 to 3 weeks every time there's a shift in routine. It also builds resentment. Sometimes it's towards the industry, sometimes it's towards the place I'm living in, and sometimes it's towards the guy who caught me out in traffic. They are all just negativities that in no way help me get to my real goals. So I need a system that revolves around change. I need something that will let me transition from full-time studio work to full-time personal project work without losing any time in between. And that is when I dropped my to-do list for a calendar instead. I've been using this calendar for 2 months now, and everything has changed for me. Here are 3 reasons why to-do list sucks, and 3 reasons why calendar is the way to go. 1. To-do lists can actually make the feeling of overwhelm worse. When I was living by a to-do list, even back when I had all day to hit everything on it, I only managed to take off a fraction of the tasks each day. And no matter how many I take off, the list just gets longer and longer. There were always more things to do. I would doom scroll all morning in bed because the moment I got up, I would have to face that laundry list of tasks that kept getting longer no matter how many I take off. It just felt too daunting and exhausting. And when I finally got moving and started the work, I would end up staying up very late in an attempt to tackle more items on the list. I went to sleep pretty late every day. Then I would feel anxious about the next day. It's just a very vicious cycle. 2. Decision fatigue made me default to the easiest thing. Because I put everything on the to-do list, all kinds of tasks live side by side on the same list. For example, like doing the laundry, building my portfolio website, taking the trash out, writing a script for an animated short film. That never happened. Some of those things would only take 5 seconds, and some would take 5 years. But on paper, they all took up the same amount of space. So whenever I look at the list, I would just always pick the easiest thing first. Before I knew it, my all day was gone to small, non-urgent tasks. If there weren't enough small tasks for me to procrastinate with, I would just default to doom scrolling all day, and so I wouldn't have to choose at all. So I end up never actually using my downtime as efficiently as I had planned it. I always found myself swamped, trying to catch up with the tasks I invented for myself, and never actually starting the things I truly wanted to do. 3. Trying to catch up only created a worse cycle. One word that summarized my experience during my downtime is busy. Busy because I woke up in the middle of the day after staying up all night trying to tackle more things off the to-do list. Busy because there were just so much to do and so much I hadn't done. Busy because I wasted so much time doom scrolling today and I better make it up now. Busy because I just don't deserve to enjoy things right now. You see where I'm going with this? Playing the game of catching up squeezed all my time into work, but also into other useless shit like doom scrolling and non-urgent tasks. I barely left my house besides going to get groceries and going to the gym. I also stopped seeking out new experiences because I just couldn't imagine having to squeeze more time out to do things that's not work. That shit messes with your head without you even realizing it. Without noticing, I started to believe that I wasn't capable of achieving my goals. I started having doubts about my line of work, which has also been my passion for most of my life. And I started bitching and moaning out loud to other people, which is almost never a good look. When you stop believing that it is within your power to do something, or the goal is even achievable, you stop trying. And then it comes the feeling of despair. You mourn the death of the part of yourself that was once full of life. And you also mourn the life that you thought was awaiting you, but now it's infinitely out of reach. But it need not to be so. Here are the 3 things that the calendar system did for me. A calendar forced me to see how much time I actually have. I used to think that if I worked 8 hours during the day and spent 8 hours to sleep, I would still have another full 8 hours to do whatever I wanted. And what if I spend another 2 to 3 hours watching YouTube or doom scrolling? I still have plenty of time to do everything on the to-do list. And if I can't get to it today, there's always tomorrow. So with that in mind, I planned my first calendar for the first time. Right now, I work from 11 a.m. to 7 p.m. Luckily for me, there's no commute time because I work from my living room for this particular contract overseas. So if I go to sleep at 11 p.m. and wake up at 7 a.m., that would leave me with exactly 8 hours. Great. But of course, I would have to take up an hour and a half to go to the gym. And another hour for cooking and eating dinner. and another hour for morning and bedtime routines. And I also need to set aside time for general life admin, like getting a haircut, go to the grocery store, or go to the movies. And that leaves me with, 2 hours? I don't even have to drive to work. This means that back when I had to drive to work, I literally had zero time to do anything on the list every single day. My math was way off for years. If this is all the time I get every day, then I need to think really hard about what I should fill these 2 hours of free time with. 2, the calendar helped me sniff out my true priorities. If I'm only getting 2 to 3 hours every day, then I probably can't start a dropshipping business, make a short animated film, create an ArchViz portfolio, and build a presence on a few social media platforms. So what actually matters to me the most? I guess I don't want to stop making personal projects, and I also don't want to giving up on creating content either. Other than that, everything else seems expendable, at least at this stage of my career. So it's decided that I will split my time between personal projects and creating content. Honestly, those two goals might even help each other out. As for only other tasks on the list, they will get scrapped. Yes, scrapped. Because I've decided that they are not important to me right now, and I'm not going to waste my energy even looking at them. I do need to create a website that showcases my work. Yeah, it's been on my to-do list for years because I hated doing it. I guess my solution for that now is to pay somebody to do it. But that is another video. 3, a calendar system freed up more time for life. I can count on one hand how many sunrises I remember because it's so rare I see one. I never get up early enough for that unless I pulled an all-nighter. But if I pulled an all-nighter, I'll be too stressed and too tired to even notice the beauty of it. But since switching to the calendar system, I've been getting up consistently at 6. I had the chance to see the full cycle of daylight every single day. And honestly, my day feels like it's twice as long now. And I find myself being able to schedule in activities on the weekends that has nothing to do with work because there's just nothing to catch up with. Everything gets handled each day because tasks get ticked off automatically as time passes on the calendar. For example, I've been living in Auckland, New Zealand for 2 years now, and I have never visited the Rangitoto Island. I have only looked at it from distance and told myself that one day, if I have time. So a couple of weekends ago, I put it on my schedule to visit the Rangitoto Island for the day. And I did exactly that. To be honest, the view was nothing special, but the hike was super easy and was right along the coast. I put on an audiobook, hiked, and listened to it all day. I came back with a few ideas I learned from the audiobook and put them into practice right away. And I also came back remembering that it was time very well spent. I think the reason why the calendar experiment has been so successful for me is because it changed my mindset. Instead of just asking myself to be more disciplined and to be unrealistically stoic towards every distraction and temptation, designed to make humans consume, to build a system that worked with my brain instead of against it. And instead of flogging myself for failing to reach the standard that is difficult to reach even for the strongest among us, the calendar system gently guided me towards the path that leads to my real goals. Overwhelmed with tasks? How about just throw away 90% of that so you never have to think about it? Annoyed that you have to decide what to spend time on? How about just decide that the night before and turn the next day into a choreographed routine? Staying up too late trying to catch up? How about telling the world that you're starting a calendar system that starts at 6 in the morning and have other people discipline you by not believing that you can stick to it? We, as human beings, were thrust into existence into an indifferent universe that just takes whatever it wants. It's very, very hard to wake up in the morning, staring into the abyss, think about all the random bullshit that the universe is going to throw at you that day, and still get out of bed. Want to think that we are individuals. We want to think that we are free to make our own choices and be the master of our own destinies. But that part of us that is burning can be snuffed out by the constant bombardment of random events that seem to dictate our fate. But even if that's true, even if we do not have the power to choose anything, and everything has already been planned out for us, no matter how hard we struggle against it, do we really want to resign ourselves to the lot we're given? And when death is finally upon us, do we really just want to throw our hands up and say, at least I didn't try that hard? A calendar is not a panacea, despite how I may have sounded throughout this video. It's just one of the many methods that we can employ to inject a little bit of sovereignty into our lives. It helps us pave a very narrow path of stability in this rainforest of chaos that we all have to navigate. Just have a little taste of control can do wonders for us. It did for me.